King, how you raise your hand just now? Please, feel free to come in.
Yes. Since Paul have mentioned just now regarding to the curriculum design and the syllabus design mentioned by Patin as well, and also the characteristic that mentioned by Tan just now. So I wonder if, in Malaysia, we always wanted to start the one education term named interdiscipline, which is mix those the subject they are not related and they mix it together. Wonder if what is the idea of Paul and of course the others think about this? Is this applicable that can be able to enable the students to have a very good learning experience? And wanted to know more about this because I have a very close friend who are studying in the philosophy, law, and also business that makes these three fields together. But end up, my friend, this close friend, couldn't even find in a fit-in job. I mean, that talk in a very traditional way, and that's the problem. So wonder if what everyone think about it.
Maybe let me just also push this question a little bit more, and perhaps it's also what is the role of liberal arts or the American general degree fits into this discussion.
I mean, my response would be it kind of depends on how it's done. So in fact, my undergraduate degree was interdisciplinary. I basically studied politics, economics, sociology of what was then our welfare state, which we don't have anymore. But that's what I did for my degree, and it was interdisciplinary. But it was designed as a program, so it wasn't that I did separate units on those things and I was left to work out as a student on my own. What on earth does this mean? So providing interdisciplinary programs or liberal arts programs are designed as a program and a clear sense of when we put these things together, this is what it gives students, this is where it takes them in the future. For me, that can be incredibly powerful. If it's just a collection of units, so you've got to do 3 units from business, 2 from philosophy, and I've forgotten what the third subject was, but and you put them together, and then it's up to you to make those connections. That's not taking our educational responsibility seriously, because we're basically, saying that students who have the least power and the least knowledge should do this amazing interdisciplinary work, and that's kind of our job to know where we're taking them, not because they have to go where we're taking them, but just because if we're saying you should do this, we think it will be good for you, we need to know what good for you means in terms of their future.
I guess it relates to that point that Tan was talking about earlier, is the institution has a role to not just design a program and leave it for students to figure out, and it still comes back to that question, the role of the academics, the one that ultimately engages with the students is the most important in this whole discussion.
CD?
Yes, Russ,
if I may say, I agree with Paul, I agree with Tan. At the end of the day, whoever is in charge, the leader, particularly, let's say in the university, you have the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics, right? That's the leader that needs to look into how the curriculum is designed. What is it that you want the outcome from the students, particularly the undergraduate? For the postgraduate, it's definitely they know they will embark either on the MBA or on their research journey, right? But for the undergraduate, because we have issues when the industries are saying that we are not, providing the right kind of students, that's one. Okay, whether we are fulfilling the skills or not, that's another thing. So again, it's to look what is it that the university wants in the first place. All right, way back then when I was many years ago, we were looking into developing students as T-shaped, meaning that if you go into the IT school or engineering school, you must be good. So those are the foundations for you to ensure that you get the right knowledge of engineering or pharmacy or anything. right? But then there are also programs that allows you to have that, you know, the broader, the upper T, yeah, which means, but it has to be integrated. So this is when either your curriculum, your exchange program or whatever. So it has to be looked as a whole. So somebody has to actually look at it, you know, to make sure that we will be able to tell the students, okay, what is this for? What is this for? You know, in order to enrich you. And but because we don't do that at the university, assuming that the students would know. I mean, I don't want it to be like a high school, but at the end of the day, there must be some flexibility that's given. For instance, what I could say now, the last time we had curriculum that's for 3 years, yeah, but now it's back to 4 years. When we are back to the 4 years, at least we have that flexibility. And then we are able to take up subjects that you think that would enrich you. Let's say IT and business, that works very well together. All right. But most students, they are not able to see, to know that, you know, IT and business, some of them would rather take IT with something else that they're easy to score because they've studied that during the high school. I mean, they do that because they wanted to get high results, good results, and graduate. Yeah. So these are the responsibility, I would say, not only to the educators, but those who put into the curriculum at the end of the day. So the faculty needs to look. And again, the university, the polytechnics, what's the differentiation? That's one thing. If you go into the university, it's not the same as you go into the polytechnics where you get the skills. The industry requires the skill. But when you go to the university, it's the knowledge, it's your thinking process, you know, the maturity that's required. So, like Tan was saying, Monash is good that you have all the numbers on the website. That is to attract the students. Can't blame the universities. You need the income for the students to come in. Yeah. So that's the way to promote. But then if you got the numbers, meaning there's something in the curriculum that's done right in a way. So what is it that has been done right? So I would say the leaders, the top people, you know, must have that view. What is it that they want for the students when they graduate? I mean, that's my 1 cent.
And this is one crucial missing element in a project that we were looking at. In terms, we myself, Pak Din, and a couple of colleagues were looking into a recent. We are at the end of our third year now. Looking at the relevance and how current is our university curriculum. And one of the key issues that we have found across the board is that generally students don't know why they are taking different courses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We plan
you have
for
economic
that.
students telling us, I don't know why we have to do a course on the history of economics taught. And I was like, okay.
And to me,
There's
that's
someone
a
telling you,
golden
connecting you
education.
to this. Yeah.
Paul
Sorry,
was right. No, Paul
was
was
gonna
right
say-
when he mentioned, when Paul mentioned that, you know, the educator themselves need to know why is it that we're teaching that, the fundamentals. You know, history, there's a reason why we study history. There's a reason why we study basic programming, despite that the programming may not need, you are not very well, you know, all plug in and play, but you still have to understand certain basics. They want fast results, the students. So these are the things that the missing link somewhere.
Yeah. To me, that's a golden education rule that if a student stops you and says, why are we studying this? You should always be able to answer. You know, and you should always be able to give a convincing answer rather than go, it's important. You know, it needs to be something more than that.
It has to be done quicker and a louder voice. Then you win the crowd.
And do you agree with me that, like, you know, academics these days, we are too busy with publications. We don't have enough time to exchange, you know, so what happened at our workplace, right? Like, you know, the course leaders, you know, the program directors, they design something. And sometimes we academics have to do things and we don't know why. So when students ask, we don't know why to answer. I'm sorry, Paul, but if my student asks me many times, I say, I don't know. Monash asked me to do it.
But see, I would say we're the most highly educated workforce in the world. There is no one more educated than academics. If we can't do that, where's the hope? And I do think there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of amazing degree programs. There's a lot, students get a tremendous amount out of higher education, but we do have to kind of, we have certain responsibilities that actually, too often we stand away from, rather than saying, okay, well, this isn't going to be popular, but actually I've got a responsibility here to say something about this and try and do it.
Yeah.
Paul, I mean, echoing what you're saying, yeah, these are the words exactly. I mean, I've got responsibility, I've got to do this, and then this is why we're having such analysis. What we call it, what do we call it, Changda? The competitive analysis, and I've got an axis of graduate employability and y-axis of popularity. I mean, first choice going into, and if you end up in the rubbish quadrant, which is the second quadrant, which is the lowest in the X and lowest in the Y, we're gonna close your program. That's it. You're done. So this is how bad what's happening now, and this is where I think the economic pressures without philosophy, putting in too much emphasis on KPI numbers in terms of producing students, and then this is where it's crazy. And I always believe that I mean I've been a bit of a left winger in my school, and coming from the School of Engineering, we're the forefathers of numbers, and we're the forefathers of graphs and figures, and we sort of like trying to
people
make
are the
sense.
destroyer of higher education.
Oh, please put me aside. I'm the left winger, you see. So this is where we are. We stand at the fact that we are trying to objectivize teaching by having something like OBE, outcome-based learning, and it sounds really
don't go
good on
into
paper. Yeah, it's really good on paper. But yeah, the point is, OBE was trying to standardize throughout, and it gives an opportunity for students in the country of A to be able to find employability in the country of B, and in cases where A is a higher, highly more what do you call this, established country. I mean, coming down, there's always that exchange in terms of culture and opportunity, and for those people coming from third world going to the higher bits, I mean, it's always about economic gain and also opportunity of transfer of technology later on. So I do understand that, but the rigidity of OBE, for example, where I don't know what you have elsewhere, but in Malaysia, for example, when you set up the technical course objectives, the course objectives are always technical. They're non soft skills which are related. I mean, this is where students in Malaysia is a bit polarized. Me and Changda has always been arguing about this, where the structure of the university in Malaysia, we have a deputy vice chancellor for student affairs and alumni. And this department is basically one of the biggest departments that you have in a university with plenty of resources. And what they do is basically they provide that outside classroom experience that you have to sort of like what do you call this, to balance out your technical bits. But in reality, it is not only the technical bits that you gain in class. You also gain many soft skill bits. But as these are not being put into the objectives, the learning has been lost. So people are not clear about how the objectives should be. So I think that's one thing. Again, it's about the delivery. It is about, and it's also about. I always believe that students coming into the university are, they've been filtered quite a number of times. I think they're pretty smart. I mean, you get what I mean. I mean, credit to where it's due. So at the end of the day, if I were to become an ass, a royal class ass, and I said I don't want to do lectures, and it's up to you to read, I'm just going to give you a list of these kids. They will read it. they will do whatever they can. They will adapt to survive, and they will pass the exam. I mean, they will vomit everything that they read. They would memorize, whether there is understanding or not. I mean, yeah, they will do it. But that question, again, it's about experiential learning, isn't it? It's about that learning that sticks to them so that they can remember. And this goes into the alumni part where they would appreciate the alma mater, would come back and provide better things for the university. And this is where everything is lost. I always say that it's not the university that makes sense, it's that old fart that gives me that learning. And for me to come back to the university is about that guy. And I think that this is where I'm coming about. With all the publications and all the big things that we have done, we have failed to aspire to inspire the students as much as we're supposed to. We're not weaving that magic. We're not dancing that tango that we have in class. Or in Malaysia, we have this mentorship kind of thing. So you've got like 15 students with you. And many of them would treat that as an academic mentorship. While some lecturers walk the extra mile and say that, no, this is life mentorship. I'm just going to talk to you about employability. I'm going to talk to you about other things. And this is where it's lacking, isn't it? I don't know. So there's another question. How far should we go? This is also that bit where you got graduate employability numbers. You have x-axis of graduate y-axis of graduate employability in percentage, y-axis the all public universities in Malaysia, and you start to compare the numbers. The shittier universities with lower numbers will always get the cane, and you will do all you can. You would herd the sheep. You would herd the sheep nicely. You would have these things. You cheat. You do whatever. So at the end of the day, when the numbers become right, Dr. Tam, your numbers were like 80. Monash was like 80, I think. Yeah, you're nowhere near Malaysian numbers. You're nowhere near Malaysian numbers. And this is what's scary. The moment you start to sort of like put in that unfair advantage and that unfair fight, those numbers become meaningless anymore, because those numbers are supposed to be self-reflective, isn't it? It is something that you look into. Say, oh, there's something that we've done right. There's something we've done wrong. Let's make do with what we are doing right. And what we do, unfortunately, every year, I think we are doing it right. The numbers that kept increasing. I think we're doing something right. Let's go on with this and see how it goes. So that's another thing. And another thing I'm wanting to say, in Malaysian style undergraduates, I think it's the worst case scenario. Yeah, I think we are lacking in terms of sense of urgency. Sorry, I think the biggest fault is when 90% of the fees are subsidized. So getting into the public university, the thing is peanuts. So students would sort of like put the lazy ass on the chair and just that's all right, no worries. Let's see what's going to happen. And it's different, I guess, in the States, where the moment you go out, it's a huge amount of money and this is where other things come about, personal financial management, other bits and pieces before they understand the real life going out of the university. This is the first thing that you have to manage, personal financial management. You've got any knowledge about that? None. I thought the university is supposed to give me that. No, the university is not supposed to give you that. And there are now some public universities are giving that. So how far do we need to go? I always believe that birds learning to fly would need to spread their wings on their own. And the mothers sort of like, so how far do we need to push? Do these people have the right thing to fly? So I'm just going to stop there.
Can I add on? My question is actually asked by Pak Din already. His version is how much is too much. My version is where do we draw the line? But I think I'll let the panelists talk about it. But one thing that I really want to highlight is it is when you work with people from different backgrounds that you realize that life in general and employment in general is a fun thing to do. For example, I'm from the social science background. I like working with engineers. They are straightforward. They have a way of thinking. Sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes it makes things easier, because when you talk to a group of social scientists, you will go from the ancient ages and then you stuck there at the discussion without coming back to what you're supposed to be discussing in the first place. So engineers, they don't do that. They see a problem, they solve it. It's you as a social scientist to tell them pull the plug slightly, we might need to look at it a different way. So we do not highlight these kind of conversations among our students. We just tell them, you're coming into the system, this is 4 years of education for you, and then finish it up, graduate, and then go into the job market. So passing it back.
Yep, maybe I think we are coming to the end as well. Perhaps maybe can I invite maybe Tan to have a wrap up thoughts or any last thought from you?
We discuss a lot. I don't know which one is
Where
more
to
important.
Yeah, no, I mean, just anything else to add on?
My students and people who have invited me to share my research, they say, so what is the takeaway things that you would advise like relevant stakeholders? And I often say be patient. All relevant stakeholders, please just be patient, because patience for universities, we shouldn't look at again short-term employment outcomes, because as we discussed today, so what students learned from university more complicated than about employment outcomes. And a range of aspects beyond employment outcome, we can only see in the process that students develop themselves after they graduate. So be patient, university, in that way, for graduates and for students too. So when students ask me, they're learning and how they develop their career, etc. And I say the same thing. I say be patient. Okay, when you graduate, you may fail to obtain your job, but then don't think you fail. That is the end of the world. You fail something, actually you learn a lot. So the lesson to growth. So that all of those things is about, the educational things, and they need to be patient. It's the process to learn. So, if we will ask, how universities, should do better for students and how students prepare their career. And I say, one of the things we really need to emphasize in our educational programs is that, so we teach our students to take responsibility, to be patient, and to see learning as a process, not like one-off, employment outcome or one-off outcome of something. Yeah, so that's all to what, I could, summarize, and I think it's important, at least for me.
Yeah, thanks. Paul, any last thought from you?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, so I think, one of the kind of tricky things, and one things that often academics aren't very good at, is that policymakers have a question about employability. Okay, and what they're doing at the moment, kind of in Malaysia, is using employment outcomes after 6 months to measure quality. Now, the kind of danger is that what we say is kind of people in the area is, well, you're asking the wrong question there. And actually that's not good enough from our point of view. So what we have to do is we have to say, well, look, actually, why are you asking that question? What is it that you want that to give you? And then show them that actually measuring after 6 months doesn't give them what they want. And then crucially, work with them to develop alternative ways of looking at it. And sometimes that will be completely unsuccessful. There are kind of political reasons, and as policymakers, having political reasons for doing things is legitimate. It's different from what we're doing, but it's legitimate for them. And so trying to have that conversation won't work, but that's still our responsibility, is to try and help policymakers to understand that if they're interested in notions of employability because they want to ensure that students entering higher education have a high quality experience that enables them to do things in the world, then we need to help them to find ways of doing that that are actually much more meaningful, rather than dismissing the question that they have. And that for me was kind of where this conversation goes in the future, would be about having that further difficult conversation and recognizing that it is difficult and that it might not be successful, but that's kind of where we need to try and go.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you
And-
for, yes, Tan.
Yeah, and again, I just would like to emphasize one more time, so the notion of employability, it needs to be understood, in different way with the employment outcomes, because it's very dangerous when we use them as the same thing. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah, so what I think important.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, for your generous sharings from some of your research, some of your thoughts and experiences, not only to Paul and Tan, but also to other colleagues who are here. This is not the end of the conversation. This is only the beginning, I hope. The clusters, those who are interested in the topic of employability within the Institute will continue to work on this. We hope that the engagement that we have with everyone here will not just end with this conversation. This will just be the beginning of a more elaborated and a more sustained discourse. I think there's a lot for us to learn from each other's context. And certainly this is also would not be the end of that. This is just the end of the one beginning session that we talk about employability, and we have a lot more to come on that. All right, so with that, I thank everyone for your time, for your participation, and see you again in another of our Tarik session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Yes, good
Can we-
night,
can we
everybody.
Just a few minutes, can we do not take a group photo, maybe? we did not manage to get a group photo the last round we had.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm on.
Then you're not looking into the camera.
Oh, this is the OOTD
You're not looking
style.
into the camera.
Yeah.
You
Should
sure
I
you're
be
not?
looking to the camera, man? Oh,
Yes.
fuck you guys! Come on.
Just a minute. Let me. All right. 1, 2. All right. Let me get another one. Let me paste it somewhere first, because I'm taking a screenshot. Sorry.
Changda, I'm turning blue now. Come on. I'm holding everything. My breath.
Okay, one more. All right. One more. 3, 2, 1. All right, got it. Thank you. All right, thank you very much for
Guys, having fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was a good discussion. I learned so much from.
Yeah. Thank you. So good
Sharing.
night.
Thanks, Tan.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, everyone, and we will keep in touch. Once we have prepared the draft of the issues paper, we will share it with all of you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
Stay safe,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Tahu, you still there?